Hey everybody! Oh, I just climbed up a pretty steep hill, but I'm headed to the bush again today. It's a nice day. It's really windy, but hopefully when we get in the trees it'll calm down. It's probably about 50 degrees. So I made it across the road, and I know this probably looks hilarious to you, but it's hunting season right now. Now where I'm going, I doubt anyone will be. There's very few people that come up here. I think most people assume that it's private. And actually, there's a local rancher, cattle rancher, that runs his cows on this land as a lease through the BLM. And he'll actually tell people that it's his property and that you can't be up here. I've actually gotten into arguments and quarrels with him over it, but I know where I am. I have a map. He can't keep us out of here. The reason that I have the orange on the front of my pack is because I'm walking toward where people might be hunting and away from the road. So first thing, I don't want people from the road to see me over here, because then they might think, oh, we can go hunting in there. So I tried to run across the road as fast as I could to get across, and some trucks did drive by, but I don't know if they saw me. But as far as in front of me, which looks like that, and we're headed into those trees right there, those junipers, if that's where there are people hunting, they'll see the orange as I'm walking. My other concern is also for my dog, Jury, but she stays pretty close by me. So hopefully anyone would see this bright orange vest here. I'm probably about a mile and a half or a mile to the spot. I know it's really windy, so I'm gonna shut off the camera for now until we get up in the trees, and then I'll talk to you more where the wind noise will be down a little bit. So stay tuned. There's an antelope standing there just staring at me. And I bet you can't see it on the GoPro. It's deer season right now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see deer, but there's that one lone antelope up here. He's actually kind of running toward where we're going, but as I'm talking to you on the camera, he'll keep his distance. The only reason I snuck up on him like that was because I wasn't talking to you guys, so. Okay, here we are in the middle of nowhere. We're getting closer to the trees right there, probably only a few hundred yards. I know everything looks farther with the GoPro. But check this out real quick. We are in the middle of nowhere. I'm 2 miles from a road and farther from a house. And anyway, here is this post. And this is a solid piece of steel. And this is an old oil well, probably from the boom back in the 80s in this area of Wyoming. You can see there's coordinates on it, as well as bird poop. But that's an old capped oil well. They come in when they're done drilling, cap it off, and I guess leave this post here to market. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm making my way into the trees. Came from way down there, that direction. And now I just need to find a good spot. Here is our old spot. There's my old fire pit. I know I didn't bury it very well in my pile. I do try to leave no trace when I can. And this was just kind of an ignorance on my part, but I'll reuse this spot right now today And when I leave here today, I'll make sure that it's all good. So. So I know you're thinking bushcraft. What? Why would you bring this much? Why would you bring this size of pack on a bushcraft day? And it's a pretty good, valid question. As you can see, there's my sit pad there. I have my jacket up there, which I thought I might need, but it's warm now, especially hiking. Okay, and here I have just this little cloth, and it's actually covering up my folding frying pan that I got from Walmart. It's just a Coleman, and it's worked out really good. It's the non-stick style. So we'll use that. This is just a cloth to keep the black carbon buildup off the pan from off, everything else. Ooh, the treats. So I brought a steak, a strip steak of some kind. I can't remember what it is. I took it out of my freezer. It's perfectly thawed. It's still cold. So that's going to be good in the pan. And then I brought a couple little treats that I'll show you here in a little bit. But for now, I'm going to keep these hidden in the shade. A tarp, if I needed it. I think it's a 10 by 12, so it's pretty big. I brought some gas and a gas stove in case I had trouble getting a fire going, or just decided I didn't want to have a fire. This is my fire kit. It has a ferro rod, matches, lighters, dryer lint. It's a plane, of course, coming right over us. Dryer lint for starting with the ferro rod. I think there's even some paper in here. We don't have birch around here. I'll show you the vegetation in this area and kind of what we have available. This is rain gear, jacket and pants, which I brought basically not knowing what today would be like. And then this is my chair, which I will definitely be using today. So I'm going to keep the chair out. What else do I have in here? Cordage for the tarp if I needed it, which I don't. So I'm going to put the tarp back, the cordage back, the rain gear back, and the fuel back. I'll keep the fire kit close, but I'll keep it on the top still in the pack. And then this guy might come in handy too. I'm just going to tuck it into one of the pockets here. Also, I have in the top of my pack some extra camera stuff, GoPro, extra battery, some attachments. Definitely a first aid kit in there. Oh, and definitely TP and wet wipes. And I forgot to mention on the outside pockets. So this is Jury's water dish, which I'm going to get out and get her a drink right here now. It's just the top of one of my pots. I do have my knife. It's a Condor El Salvador Bushcraft. Budget, like $30 Bushcraft Scandi grind knife. Baco Laplander saw. I actually meant to bring my hatchet with me, but I didn't. I also have a Leatherman in here, and then I have my cook kit, which I'll show you if I get it out. But basically it's a pot, oil, steak seasoning, the stove, part of my pocket stove, tin foil, and a spoon and a fork. So anyway, yeah, let's get Jerry some water. So I bring water in these Sawyer squeeze bottles because they're big. They're 64 ounces. And they were cheap. I have 2 of them. And you might ask, well, Jason, why didn't you bring your Sawyer squeeze filter? Well, there is no water in this area at all. So real quick before I start setting up camp and everything, I just want to show you around. So these are the kinds of trees that we have up here. And this is the only tree in this whole area. And it's called Utah Juniper. We were very close to Utah in this part of Wyoming, but you can see that they are super twisty, bendy. Like, look at this one. This is actually still alive right here. And I mean, it's like fallen away from the main tree itself. But this is not straight grained wood. You can't really build with it. I mean, you can make fires with it. It does make decent firewood, but it's soft wood. And if you're planning on cooking directly on it, it's not going to taste very good. The smoke stinks, the coals stink. That's why I brought a frying pan to cook a steak. You're probably asking, why would you bring a frying pan to cook a steak on a campfire? Well, that's why. There's only one kind of firewood in this whole zone, and it's not good firewood to cook directly on. So the other thing we have here is sagebrush. This is a dead one, and it makes good kindling, but you aren't going to get substantial firewood from sagebrush. You could if you had to, but you're desperate if that's your only source of firewood. You have to find dead juniper around here to have a substantial fire. Here is prickly pear, and this stuff is edible, actually. I think it's like the flower part that's usually on there that's edible, but it's everywhere, so you got to watch your tootsies. Okay, so I have this chair here. It's a Sportneer Amazon brand chair, and actually some of the legs bent, so I had to kind of make my own aluminum rods to replace the legs, but it works okay. It's a pack chair. I'm a big guy. It says it holds 300 pounds. I don't weigh 300 pounds. I still bent it. But some of you may have noticed that I brought a pistol, a sidearm with me. And you might wonder why. Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, we are in Wyoming. You can open carry and conceal carry without a permit. Now, I don't just bring a gun because I can. I bring a gun because I'm by myself. Very isolated. And it's not for wildlife. It's not for bears. There's no bears around here. They're up in the mountains. There's not even really moose here, even though they have been known to come down here, but it's not their style. Safety is key with these things. I've been born basically and raised with firearm safety. Go lay down, Jerry. This gun is clear and it's safe. I do keep a loaded magazine, but I do not keep one in the chamber. I'll tell you why I bring this here. I mentioned before that there is folks that run their cattle up here, and that's fine. They have every right to do so, but I've been told by them while I was up here that I can't be here. And that's not true. This is public land. They can't keep me out of here. And there was some kind of confrontation feeling, some aggression. And it's pretty scary being in the middle of nowhere and 3 or 4 guys with dogs and on horseback come up to you and your dog while you're walking. You're outnumbered, you're outflanked, you're you can't run. Now, I'm not saying that these guys would attack me, that I'm really afraid of that or anything, but I have the knowledge and the safety, first and foremost, to carry a firearm safely and be comfortable with it and be confident that I'm safe with it. So that's a big reason why I bring it, to protect myself. Whether or not there's really an outlying fear. Obviously, if I was afraid of my life coming up here, I wouldn't come up here. But I wouldn't bring my family up here. But especially with my dog, with my family, I like to bring protection. I'll bring it into the mountains. I'll bring it anytime we're outside for a long period of time, for a lot of reasons. I mean, there is badgers here that can get pretty aggressive, and I worry about my dog getting mixed up with one. It would be nice to have a firearm for that. A badger will get you. It's not going to necessarily back down from a human. So anyway, there's the gun talk. I just wanted to put that out there before we continue with the video, because, see that dust? I figured you guys might. Oh, hi, Jerry. Did you see there's a camera right there? Oh, you're pretty. Hey, don't hit the. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and set my big water bag right on top of these treats so they're covered by the sun and maybe they'll keep a little cool. Anyway, here's my old fire pit that I need to get set up. So I'm going to put my sit pad right here. What I like to go for when I'm building a fire pit. Now, if I do a stick stove even, I build a pit for it. It's just something that I like to do. Block the wind, keep the embers and stuff from flying out everywhere. Now, if you'll probably notice there's still some even unburnt base chunks here that I kind of just buried along with the fire. Oh, another crucial piece of kit I forgot to mention I brought is gloves. I never don't plan on bringing gloves. I've forgotten to bring gloves, absolutely, but I don't care what I'm doing, even if it's just a day hike. I always like to have gloves. I mean, you're doing everything with your hands out here. It's just crucial to have. Not super concerned about the fire hazards right now as far as the weather and whatnot. It is the desert and it gets very dry out here, but once fall hits, we're pretty solid. So boom, there's a fire pit. Now I just got to make the decision whether or not I'm going to have a stick stove fire, which I did bring my stick stove. I just didn't show it to you. I forgot that it was in the back pouch of my backpack. Or if I'm going to have a fire. Okay, so I sat around for a minute and just kind of enjoyed the quiet. And I did decide that I probably want to go with a stick stove fire. About the stick stove here, this guy was a Amazon, I don't know if it's an Amazon brand or an off brand. It's called Lexada, but it's worked out really good. You can see that I've used it quite a bit already, and yeah, I just enjoy it, man. It takes no time to put together. It's not a lot different than probably if you're into bushcraft videos and that's why you're watching this video, then it's probably not very much that you haven't already seen. One thing that I do notice that I like about this one that I notice about other videos and whatnot is that most people have like the name brand Firebox, brand stoves. And I'm not really sure, I mean, their quality. I might keep it up on the base stick still. I know that they might start on fire a little bit, but it'll allow airflow and keep it off of the cold, wet ground. And I got that backwards. Obviously, you want that part forward so you can feed it. But anyway, yeah, I've enjoyed this stove a lot, and I'm not really sure what it doesn't have to offer that the Firebox stoves do. But if you're on Amazon and you're gonna buy the $16 Lexada folding firebox, then I guess it's not a folding firebox, it's like a breakdown firebox. It doesn't have the hinge system. Got to be careful with the bag. I always try to put it back in my backpack because that's one of the things, like your sit pad, that will blow away. So anyway, I'm going to season the steak up, and then I'll get the fire going. There's that plane again. Anyway, one thing that is nice about sagebrush wood is it's like, it peels off in layers. So it's not super good for catching a spark, but it's good kindling. So I did find this one chunk that I still had sawed off of before that's dry. And what I'm gonna do, I don't really want to split it or have time to split it, but I'm just gonna make a whole bunch of shavings off of it. Stuff like that, that'll catch good. Let's get this in here. I think I might have packed it a little bit tight in there to start off with, but it's all good. Okay, where are my little airy curls? Right there. Okay, the hard thing about a stick stove now is that you have to keep it going. And I didn't season my steak, which wasn't smart, or get my oil out, which I want. So I'll throw some sticks in there, and then I'll try to get the steak going, and I'll bring you back. All right, flint and steel, or steel and whatever, your fire making stuff back into the bag instantly. I'm gonna back you up, man. Those flames are going. So I got those dry sticks in there. Hopefully they'll keep going for a second. And I really should have had the steak prepared and the oil out before I started the fire, but it's all right. I got plenty of sticks gathered here. It doesn't take much to keep these guys going. So I'm gonna and these are thicker pieces too. So once they do get going, they will stay going for a decent amount of time. But you can see already if you look in there, I know it's hard to get you close, but most of what was in there is already burned down to nothing. So you really gotta be careful to keep these things going, or they just will go right out on you. What did I do with the cook kit? Here it is. So this is my cook kit. And the only thing I need out of here right now is my spoon. Oh no, I only brought a spoon. Well, it's all knife anyway, which is fine. But inside my pot, I got a little Stanley pot. It's a Walmart special. Thing is awesome though. I got oil, which I'm gonna want, olive oil, and Montreal steak spice. That one is my second favorite. The best steak spice out there by far is Spadell. Get this thing out. Oh, and it's just perfectly thawed. It's a little cold still, but that's just fine. I got my steak spice here in this little Coughlins or Coglins on the go thingy. Oh man, there's not very much in there. Dang it. So I'm gonna have to put about half of it on this side, which isn't that much. Get me a little sticky here. Yeah, it's not gonna be a lot. It's all right though. I love steak no matter what. Then we'll flip it on the other side. Oh well. It's all right. It'll still be delicious. But I'm trying to get this going here. Anyway, there's that. And it doesn't matter if the pieces are longer than the stove will handle. You can just kind of stick them in there and feed them in. Woo. That'll do it. Anyway, here's my oil. Just open up this cap here. And I'm going to pour a good amount in the pan. A little more. There's nothing wrong with oil. Olive oil is good for you too. Good fats in olive oil. Okay. I think she's ready. Nice and easy now. Oh yeah. Pretty much only have my knife to flip the steak, but that's okay. And I don't mind if it's a little burnt, a little done on the outside to make sure it's, you know, cooked a little in the middle. I like my steaks rare, but for some reason when I'm cooking on the stoves, the folding stove, I tend to take it off too soon. And it's not even, it's like cold in the middle, and that's not, I'd rather have a medium well than a cold in the middle steak. And I'm not going to beat myself up too bad if I have to flip it twice, even though I know that's a big no-no also. Let's take a look at it. Oh yeah. That's great, actually. Okay. So that steak, I'll just take off of the whole pan and everything off of the fire here soon. But I wanted to show you my treats. Odell Brewing IPA. This is one of the originals. It's out of Fort Collins, Colorado. I used to live there. One of the best cities in the world. And this thing's still cold, which I'm excited about. And then another Odell. Drum roll. APA. American Pale Ale. So these things are pretty popular now. But I'm thinking that it's probably going to be pretty close to done. Yeah, that side can have a little more. But what I'm going to do, put my knife away for a second here, is I'm going to go ahead and just take it off of the flame. Like I said, I'm not worried about too much about starting a fire or anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it right there on the ground. And you're always supposed to let your steak rest for at least 5 minutes. But since it's resting on the pan, I'm going to let the pan cool off for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to let the steak rest for 5 minutes. It'll still be warm, but I don't want to cut into it too quick. All the juices come out. You got to let everything settle. These two beers. So like I said, I lived in Fort Collins, Colorado. That's where this brewery's out of. If you're from the States, you've probably heard of Fat Tire. That's a New Belgium beer that comes out of the same place, Fort Collins. Fort Collins has like 4 breweries, 5 maybe not including microbreweries that are awesome. This beer I've drank a long time. This is just the Odell Brewing IPA. Ready to buck convention, we took the traditional IPA and made it bolder and more flavorful. American style, highly aromatic, and whole flower American hops create a balanced bitterness profile and a bright citrus hop character. Now, I know it says citrus, but this is not one of those new citrus IPAs, which I tend to like a lot, but this is a kick-ass hoppy IPA. Woo! She shook. I'll taste this and then we'll bust into that steak. This is a good beer. If you can get it, Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah area, Montana probably, you can get Odell. I'd recommend it. For sure, recommend it. Alright, I'm going to set that down. And we're going to bust into the steak. Okay, let's cut right into the middle. See what we got here. I know you shouldn't cut on the top of your non-stick surface, but I don't have any plates. Oh, look at that. That's perfect. That's cooked through, but just rare. It's not raw like I've had before. I'm really trying to just not even put the blade on the surface of the pan at all. I think that even though I'm using the pan, the smoke from the wood that I'm burning, which is that Juniper, is getting into the flavor. It's a little different, but it tastes like awesome steak. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like the steak is bad at all. It is not. It's delicious. I just am a picky steak eater. I cook them a very certain way. When I cook them at my house, if I pan sear them, I usually use butter, even though I've been trying to be healthy. The last 6 months I've been eating really healthy, so I don't do that very often. Grilled, and then I usually use Spadel seasoning, which I don't have today. Montreal is the bomb, but anyway, still an awesome steak, awesome beer. Cheers. Oh, IPA. And he's gonna get like that whole chunk. Hey, come here. That's a good girl. You got it. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Good steak. Good weather. I got grease splatter and like all over the camera. I can see it. I don't know if it's ruining hopefully it's not ruining the picture, but good girl. Good girl. She's so good. But I probably won't hang out a whole lot longer. I love this knife, man. I know it's a budget Bushcraft knife, but it holds an edge like a dream. I don't know what kind of steel it is. Ergonomically, I love it. Leather sheath, I mean, for 30 bucks, it's got me a long ways. All right, I just crushed that beer. I gotta do something with this pan. I might clean it out with some leafy grasses or something like that, but I think it's probably time to start packing up a little bit. I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Yeah, you can lick the juices out of there. The dog will clean it up, huh? Yeah! Oh, I'm pumped. My battery finally died, which it's so impressive that it lasted that long anyway. The battery I haven't charged since I bought the camera. I popped in full battery, full charge. So being that it's cool, I haven't drank much water, which is not a good thing, really. I'm not really overexerting myself at all, but I'm going to give Jury a big drink before we go. And I'm going to take a big drink before we go. And I should have enough water to just extinguish whatever's left of this fire. There really isn't much left of this fire. One good thing about the Foley firebox is it kind of just smolders out. The only thing that's probably still going in there is the big pieces underneath. Another, like this is why you want leather palm gloves at least. You can use leather to grab hot things relatively. It's thin, you can't hold on to it for a super long time, but if it was synthetic, it would burn, the glove material itself will burn onto your finger. But see, now I can let that sit and cool, and it won't take very long. Now I know my fire's in here. So what I'm gonna do is, and I don't need a whole lot, but I want to use some water. Ooh, see, that's probably a little more than I wanted to use, but it's fine. Jury's had her drink before we go, and there's enough for me or her if we get thirsty. And then I'm gonna bury this as good as I can with this soil. Soil from all around wherever. And right there, boom, I am confident that that is not going to spread. There is no way. And then that thing's already almost cool. I'm going to put those pieces there. And boom, I mean, how easy is that? A self-contained stick fire that you can cook a steak, eggs, I mean, anything. That big pan could cook 2 or 3 people a fat meal. And it can all be done on this tiny little contraption right here. That's not bad at all. I got to get out my antique chair, and the thing's pretty sturdy, but you got to make sure a couple of these pokey wires have broke off, and so I like to try to stick them opposite, you know, poke them outward. This is one of my new favoriteest beers. Not just because of the beer, it's delicious, but look at that freaking can. It's so awesome. It's the Rockies. There's rolling green valleys, rivers, snowy mountains. Looks a lot like my area. A drum roll fills you with anticipation, much like the notes in this American Pale Ale. Each year, we select the rock star hops of the harvest to craft this bold, juicy, tropically hop-forward brew, drumming up a citrus-inspired rhythm for what's to come. This is one of my new favorite beers. There's a citrus scourge going on right now, and I can totally dig it. Oh. It's so good. It's so good. I'm sorry you can't have it. And citrus and hops goes to good. Goes to good together. Jeez. Too many IPAs, I guess. This is number 2. But anyway, oh man, it's so good. It goes to good together. But this is where it's at. I'm going to sit here and enjoy this beer before I hike out of here. I like to try to make for certain that I take good 20, 30 minutes to not talk to the camera at all. Not even worry about moving the camera or anything. And just like listen to nothing but the wind in the trees. Even an airplane going over or something, you know, it's just it's so much quieter than the rest of your life. And that's one of the like best things about coming and doing something like this. And I love being busy in the woods. I love having things to do, things to cook, things to eat, beers to drink, and just like wood to chop, fires to start. I love all that, but some of the most important times is when you're doing nothing at all and you just sit. Get it! Right here! In my hand. It's my hand. Give it to me. Right here. Good girl. Ready? You ready? Go get it. That she will do all day long. Good girl. Right in my hand, too. Good girl. Oh, there it is. Oh, she didn't see it. I'm finishing the last beer. There's just a couple gulps left. I'll crush this can, put it in one of the pockets of the backpack, the outside pockets, and start to make my way. Jury's done with her water. She's had a lot of water, so it's good. If it's this windy in here in these trees, then I know for a fact it's super windy out in the meadow on the way home. So I probably won't talk to you very much. Definitely if I see any wildlife, I will put the camera on. Pack it in, pack it out.